¿Cómo? No, 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 soy Beatriz. Beatrice? ¿Cómo? No la conozco.
Olvídate de él.
Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about accents. So I know when it comes to like learning a second language, obviously like a lot of people want to sound native and you want to sound like, you know, you fit in and you just want to get closer to the culture. However, I do want to say that having like a good accent being one that kind of like, you know, blends in with the natives isn't crucial, because with Spanish at least, people will still be able to understand you more or less, even if your accent sounds like your mother tongue. Accents are fun, but in Spanish at least, they're not crucial. Not compared to other languages, at least. Like with French, for example, a French person, a French native might genuinely struggle to understand someone that's learning because their accent isn't really like good enough. But that's kind of like the language itself just has so many sounds. Whereas with Spanish, even if somebody has an accent which matches more of their like native language, you can still understand them more or less. But I just wanted to clarify that accents are not the most important thing that you need to focus on if you are learning Spanish. Definitely get your grammar and vocabulary down, and then once you're kind of comfortable with that and you want to, you know, go a bit further and have more fun with it, or if you just, you know, really like accents, then yeah, let's start working on our accent. So the first thing I want to say before I get into the practical what to do is I want to say that when you are learning a new language, not just language, but like accent, you need to activate your alter ego. Like you need to turn on your delusion and your delulu. I'm Beatrice in English, right? But when I speak Spanish, huh? No, yo soy Beatriz. Soy Beatriz. Like I soy Beatriz de Colombia. Like, do you hear what I'm saying? Like you have to actually activate your alter ego, because you can't be the same person you are in English in Spanish. Like you, like literally you can't. You're gonna feel like you're swimming against the current. Do you know what I mean? So you literally, I just want to say this first because I think it's important. You really need to activate your alter ego. You are not John. You're Juan. Your name is Juan. Juanito. Juanita. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not Jonathan anymore. Do you see what I'm saying, right? So step one, activate your alter ego, because it will make everything a lot easier. You will feel like you're kind of stepping into a new person which has a new accent, rather than your regular self trying to be someone you're not, trying to copy someone you're not. So you really need to be Delulu. Like you actually need to turn on your delusion and be Delulu and just change identity. Like switch to your alter ego. Your alter ego doesn't speak English, you know, or whatever your native language is. Your alter ego only speaks Spanish. So that's the kind of switch that we're gonna make first. And then everything we do will feel less silly. I know it can feel a bit silly sometimes when you're trying to practice an accent and you're trying to copy something you've heard. You can just feel a bit like of an imposter, really. Like you get imposter syndrome because you're like, I feel like I'm faking this. It's not me. Like, you know, you're trying to copy a different accent and be someone else. And even as kids, like we're literally told like, don't mock people, don't mimic people. You have to mock people. Like honestly, if you want to have a Spanish accent, you literally need to mimic a Spanish person. Like, but that's the exact same thing we were told is rude and we're not supposed to do. Like, oh, don't mimic accents. I want to learn the accent, so I need to mimic it. Do you know what I mean? If you're new here, my name is Beatrice and I post every Sunday about languages. When it comes to mastering and learning a new accent, there really only is one solid technique that I can actually recommend, and that is shadowing. Personally, I'd recommend picking one video or one podcast rather than just using everything. So for me, I've got one podcast which I absolutely love, and it's one episode, and like I will show you me using it now, and I can repeat the whole thing like from memory. Do you know what I mean? Like it gets obsessive. Like pick one podcast or one video clip, one audio, and just get obsessed with it. Because I think when you pick one person, one accent, one region, when you really like zone in, you can actually get good at it, rather than shadowing different people's voices. Because even within accents, people sound different. People have their own little twangs that make it personal to them. People have different like voices. So when it comes to shadowing, I would genuinely recommend just picking one audio and like becoming that person. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm gonna go onto Spotify because that's where the podcast is, and I've listened to it so many times, like I've literally like memorized it. You know, it's kind of creepy.
Conocimos que fue en la acera de Valentina, mi amiga, y el centro comercial Unicentro. Fue tan chévere para nosotros. Me llamo María Osorio, soy periodista deportiva. Nos encontramos en Medellín, en el corazón de Medellín, un poco destartalado. Wow, Me encantó. Y
And I don't really copy the guy's part because I just don't want to sound like him.
cierto, te enamoraste. Y yo, sí, ¿qué hago? Y entonces mi amiga me dijo, es que olvídate, mona, olvídate de él. Algunas de Daddy Yankee, de cuando era playero, y del inicio de Daddy Yankee, Nicky Jam.
Okay, so now I'm just going to play a tiny bit of the podcast just so we can analyze a little bit how she talks. So her name is Maria Osorio and she's from Medellin, Colombia, obviously. We're just going to listen to the way that she chains words together and the way they flow.
Y yo le dije, como que tú no vas a comer helado.
So it's like, tú no vas a comer helado. Tú no vas a comer helado. Like, helado, like, you know, it's very smooth, you know, it's just like, you know, that's just how it is. Basically, you need to like get a microscope and zoom in on the way that things are pronounced, and you'll notice it again and again and again to know if it was just like, you know, a one-time thing, it's the way that they spoke, or if that is like a consistent thing throughout the podcast, that is like, you're always noticing the D's are always soft. So it's like, helado, helado, helado. It's not helado. It's not helado. It's helado. Like, it's very smooth in Colombian Spanish. So that's the kind of like analysis that you need to like put behind your thought process when you are listening to a podcast for the accent, because you're not just listening for grammar and vocabulary. Like, if you're listening for the accent, you're going to need to rewind a couple of times and just hear it again and be like, how did she say that? And, you know, repeat after the person that you're listening to. So I feel like shadowing definitely is the most effective technique when it comes to accents, because it's so simple. There's not really any much more to it other than literally zooming in on an accent that you really, really like, picking a podcast, picking a video, and just going over and over and over again, rewinding for the little details and the things that you might miss if you were just listening to it to study. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something from this. I hope you go and use shadowing technique for yourself if you want to improve your accent. And in the next video, next week, I will be having a video specifically on how to roll your R's. And I got this inspiration for this because I was helping my friend actually the other day roll her R's in Spanish. And I was giving her tips on how to, and you know, it's quite fun. So I'm going to do a video on how to roll your R's, different techniques using like vowels, like ra, re, re, ru, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in learning how to roll your R's, because a lot of people from different languages, including English, really, really struggle with that because we just don't have that sound in our language at all. But yeah, if you're interested in that, subscribe, definitely. Love to have you here. And I'll see you next week. Bye.